Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my most favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that'll have plot synopsis and character bios for the issue we're about to look at. I do have a playlist. We are looking at Captain America 331. We're going to cover the entire John Walker saga that ran where Captain America resigns as Captain America and they put John Walker as Captain America, and then Steve Rogers ends up being the captain. So, as I mentioned, I have a playlist. We've covered this from the beginning here, or at least what I picture to be the beginning, which is issue 321. I've also covered the Jack Kirby run on Captain America. I've covered, oh my goodness, John Byrne's run in Captain America. So, all right. So, the title is Soldier Soldier, and of course, we're picking up right where we left off. Captain America yells, we're in Los Angeles, Captain America yells, D-Man, no pulse, he must have gone into cardiac arrest. And here we have our credits. Mark Gruenwald, rest in peace, my man. He is the writer. Paul Neary, rest in peace. He is the penciler, and Vince Colletta, rest in peace, is the inker. I don't know about anybody else. I do know Jim Shooter is still alive as of this recording, but we have lost Gruenwald, Neary, and Colletta. So, good panel. I like it looking down. So, and so here we have Captain America doing mouth to mouth, and then we're sort of getting what's been happening. And so he continues here. So like I mentioned, I have a playlist. We are recapping, but I'm gonna skip the recap, just kind of to hurry along. So we're looking so far at 2 pages of recap here. So as Cap tries to revive him, and suddenly he says, a heartbeat, I hear a heartbeat. And so he continues, can't stop resuscitating yet, not till he's stabilized. Still, don't have the slightest idea how I'm getting us out of this locked vault yet, but somehow I'll, and suddenly you hear this, and the Shroud says, Captain, and Captain America says, Shroud, thank heavens, get a physician in here quick. And so, soon. And so the Shroud says, followed you as soon as we could find a way down and overpower the 2 scientist types. Captain America says, undoubtedly the ones who locked me in the vault with D-Man. Think your people have things under control upstairs? I'm anxious to get my partner to a real medical facility, says Cap. I can only hope. Everyone working for the power broker, from his bodyguard to his maid, seems to be strength augmented. Still have one item to attend to down here. The power broker's other prisoner. TikTok, have one of our captives release the woman. And so he says, I anticipated your request, sir. So, looks like she is going to release this one here. Shroud, I just had a glimpse. Look out for the woman. No, what, TikTok? What's going on? Not her. Her. Free, finally, free, must. And so, get away, as she kicks this guy here. She's panicking. Block the exit, says Captain America. And she's like, no, you'll not hurt me again. And Cap says, her movements, I can tell she's augmented. Now, miss, and the Shroud says, she got by me. Didn't want to have to use force. And Captain America says, let me borrow your cape. I'll go after her. And so he's like, wait, I mean you no harm, ma'am. I'm Captain America. Please, let me help you. Yes, writing, comic book writing was still, during this time in the 80s, we already had The Dark Knight Returns. We had Frank Miller's oh my goodness, Born Again. We'd had some good stuff, but there was still some hokey stuff that I think was just we're very fortunate to have. And I think this run of Captain America is filled with a little bit of both things. I think Mark Gruenwald really tried and really did do a very serviceable job as writer. He is actually the longest tenured writer. I think he's written the most Captain America, and Ed Brubaker is number 2 on that list. But, and by the way, I love Ed Brubaker's run. And after we're done with Gruenwald, we'll cover Mark Waid's uh, 2 runs on Captain America, 2 of the earlier runs. I know he had a 3rd run, but that 3rd run was really, really short. So we're going to cover those 2 runs, and then I hope to get to the Ed Brubaker era. So anyway, so this lady says, "Stay back, stay away from me, you filthy beasts." And Captain America says, or thinks, "She's very distraught. How long has she been in here? What kind of abuse has she endured?" And out loud he says, "I'm not one of your tormentors, ma'am. I mean you no harm. Look, I'm putting down my weapon." And he says, "It's not safe for you to go wandering around. We've captured the power broker, but some of his henchmen may still." And so she lunges at her. And Cap says, "She's lunging. Have to let her connect or she'll fall on her face." So, and we go here, and so these are called thought balloons, and I know some of you already know, but we don't see thought balloons very often anymore, so in modern day comics. So, and so he continues to think here, "Don't want to hurt her. She seems to have been hurt enough, but I don't want to get hurt either." And out loud he says, "You want my shield? Sure. If you you can borrow it if it'll make you feel any safer." And so, and she aims at him, but you can see here, he kind of dodges it. He goes, "I thought she'd try that." And he says, "What do I have to do to convince you I don't want to hurt you? Do I look like any of the people who hurt you? Look, I'm going back to the others who helped free you. You can stay here or leave with the rest of us. It's up to you. You look cold. Here, take this." And he gives her the Shroud's cape. So she says, I'll. And Captain America says, "Rest assured, ma'am, that I'll see to it that your captors are brought to justice." And he kind of leaves, and here you can see she's kind of following him here. And so we go back, and Captain America asks how D-Man is doing. And this lady here says, "He could suffer another heart attack at any time. The over-augmentation he underwent put him at great risks." And Captain America says, "Then you must somehow reverse the process, Malice." And Malice says, "That's tricky. It's what the chamber the girl was put in was designed for, but we have no idea how well it will work. The girl still seems to be augmented, for instance." And Captain America says, "It's our best hope. We'll have to chance it." And so D-Man's like, "Oh." And he says, "D-Man, it's me. Don't try to talk. We're going to try something to take the strain off your heart. It's too risky, though. So if you don't," he says, "I trust you." And Captain America thinks here, "Sometimes I wish I didn't instill so much confidence in others." And he says out loud, "If something goes wrong, you're going to wish you'd never studied medicine." And you can see here, "Oh." So, and here you can see that they're doing their things. Captain America's really worried for D-Man. And then TikTok says, "Excuse me, but in 8 out of 10 time frames, the power broker will regain consciousness in 9 seconds." And he says, "Thanks." And so here we go. "Mr. Jackson, it's all over for you now, mister. You'll have a lot of things to answer for. Your abduction and captivity of D-Man and the woman." Captain America continues here, "The addictive drugs you administer to your clients, creating a public menace by dumping your failed augments into the sewer, and who knows what else. You may have squirmed out of the fall of the corporation, but you're not getting away this time. So this, of course, lets us know that this happened in Captain America 230, which we have not covered. So, um, and so, um, oh my goodness gracious, the power broker says, "You threatening me, pal?" And Captain America says, "No threats, just facts." And the power broker thinks, "Big shot blowhard, he'll be laughing out of the other side of his mask when my ace in the hole shows up at 8 o'clock," he says. So, and it says here, at that moment, 3 time zones earlier in Washington, D.C. And inside here, he says, "It's been 2 days now, gentlemen. How is it that you have yet to complete your assignment, sir?" So that these people here, this is so covert. There's not a single place that is like this. This is so comic book orient. Just it cracks me up here. So, um, and so this guy says, "Sir, we contacted and left word with the Avengers, Shield, the Falcon, and the subject's computer hotline," he says. "But we still haven't heard a word from him." And he says, "Captain America must not be allowed to operate in this haphazard manner any longer. Investigate other avenues if you must, gentlemen, but we want the captain standing before the commission as soon as possible." So this is kind of going to lead, of course, to the fall. So, and so back in California here, and the lady doctor says, "We dare not augment him any further or his heart muscles may be affected." And Malice says, "He seems to have stabilized at the strength level he had attained prior to your radical treatment." And so the Shroud comes in and says, "Captain, the night shift has indeed secured the entire estate. How's your friend?" he says. Captain America answers, "They're bringing him out of the treatment room now." And TikTok says, "In 1 out of 10 time frames, sir, you lunge at me and I shoot you through the heart. In none of them do you succeed in disarming me." And so he was talking to the power broker. And Captain America, I love it. He's like, "Stop." Love this. He goes, "Well, how is he?" as they're bringing him out. And the lady doctor says, "Stable, but still unconscious." And Captain America says, "All right, let's move him to the elevator." And so they're walking in there, and he thinks here, "The sooner I can get D-Man to a real hospital, the better I'll feel. The woman probably needs to be medically examined as well." And TikTok says, "In 10 out of 10 time frames, nothing interesting happens in the next 10 seconds. And the power broker says, "Hey, easy on the arm, spook." And the Shroud says, "Just report what's vital, TikTok." And TikTok makes a phone call. "Yes, I'd like an ambulance sent to Pelo Drive, to Pelo." And the Shroud says, "Sit down and don't move until we tell you," he says to the power broker and the bad doctors here. And he talks to Captain America and says, "Captain, if you can handle it from here, I'd best be going. The police should be here soon, and some of my men are wanted for questioning." And Captain America says, "I understand." And the power broker says, "Am I dreaming, Captain America, in cahoots with criminals? Why aren't you seeing to it that they're brought to justice too, Flagman?" So he's kind of ribbing on Cap here. And Captain America says, "Don't talk to me of the law, Jackson. There is not a man or woman on your entire estate as flagrant a violator of the law as you." And the Shroud says, "You don't have to worry, power broker. You haven't seen the last of me. And I'll be by tonight with all of the men your augmented process turned into monsters, unless you enjoy house guests. You'd better hope your de-augmenting machine does something for them. Goodbye, Captain. It was unusual working with you," says the Shroud. "Same here. Take care and thanks." So they leave. That girl stays with him. We still haven't revealed who she is here. So I haven't read these probably since, oh my god, it has got to be 40 years at least. I think I maybe reread these in the 90s. But I haven't read these since then. I do have the originals. Um, and I just forgot how cool these are. These weren't the best drawn. Paul Neary is very serviceable. And a lot of times during this era, it just this was the beginning. You were starting to see Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane. Not quite. Again, it's 1987, but you're starting to see a shift in changes that are coming. That by 1989 are fully formed. But this is quite serviceable. But again, I don't think Captain America was Marvel's biggest seller during this time. So, and he says, "Keep an eye on them, will you, ma'am?" And Captain America thinks here, "I hate to admit it, but Jackson's point is valid. I don't know for certain if there are any outstanding warrants for the arrest of any of the night shift. But if I have any reason to suspect they are, it is my duty to detain them for the authorities as much as anyone else's here, and yet honor demands that I not betray an ally. Wonder if anyone realizes how hard it is figuring out what the right thing is, not to mention doing it." And Captain America says, "You must be hungry, ma'am. Why don't you see if you can find something to eat? Our host won't mind," he says. And so the power broker says, "So, Mr. Fast and Loose with the Law, do you really think you're going to be able to pin anything on me and make it stick? Let me tell you all the poop I've got on you. 1, breaking and entering." By the way, he's right. Captain America is not a legal. He can't detain people. So, 2, consorting with known criminals. 3, unlawful trespass on private property. 4, assault and battery on my person and probable injury of my groundsman. 5, property damage. Shall I go on? Tell you what, Cap, you take your pal and gal and blow and we'll call it even, says the power broker. And he says, "Not a chance." And so he hears whoopa, whoopa, whoopa. And he says, "Sounds like a helicopter," he thinks. Is that how they send ambulances in these parts? And the power broker says, now what's happening to my beautiful estate?" And Captain America thinks here, "That's curious. There's an army insignia on that chopper. TikTok called an ambulance and the police showed up. And called the police. Who called the army?" So, and Captain America says, "Okay, all of you up. We're going outside." And the power broker says, "Really, Cap? I'm not dressed for company," he says. And so there's this guy here and says, "Captain America, this is a surprise. Troops, await my command." And Captain America says, or thinks here, "There's a whole platoon of soldiers here." And this soldier here says, "Hokey," or I think he meant holy smoke. Is that really him? It says hokey smoke. I think they meant holy. Wonder if he's as hot as they say. He's got to be. Think of how those he rescued those hostages. And so this guy introduces himself. "Lieutenant Michael Lynch, acting commander of Special Task Force 17. You have some identification?" And he says, "Here's my Avengers ID. Might I ask what your business is with these civilians, sir?" And he says, "Curtis Jackson, head of Power Broker Incorporated, has been stress augmenting men who have become soldiers for hire, fighting against U.S. interests abroad. We've been amassing evidence against him for the past 6 months. Men, see to Jackson." And so you can see them grabbing him. And Captain America says, "Something about this isn't right. The military moving against a civilian like this. Granted, Jackson has heavy-duty hired help, necessitating a show of force, but still." So, just then. So, I think this is Sharon, I think this is Sharon Carter, who ends up becoming the Thing in Walt Simonson's run on Fantastic Four. I think she was the Miss Marvel during this time. I think this is who this is. I don't know why I didn't recognize it till just now, but now seeing her like this, I'm like, I think this is Miss Marvel. Or the Miss Marvel of this time, so it wasn't, oh, the Captain Marvel. Oh my god, it just, it's not who's Captain Marvel now, but, who happened to be the Miss Marvel in the past. It's a different Miss Marvel, because I think at this time, um, what was her name? Carol Danvers. So it's Carol Danvers. I think was binary during this time. So this was the new Miss Marvel. Sharon Carter maybe. So anyway, and so she sees here and goes, "You, Michael, it was you who set me up, betrayed me." By the way, like I mentioned earlier, there is the website that I posted in for the Marvel, so you can read all about this Miss Marvel's origin if you so would like to do. So, um, and the lieutenant says, "What in her? I thought the broker would have taken care of her by now. Subdue that woman. Don't let her get away. Oh, and no guns," he yells. So, she's dangerous, unstable, and you can see them jumping on her. And Captain America says, "What in the blazes are you doing, man? Order your men back now." And he says, "You don't know Miss Marvel like I do, Captain." And he says, "This isn't said. No matter what she's done, there's no way to treat a person as abused as she seems to have been. And what was her accusations all about? Captain, what are you?" And so he jumps in and he says, "Back off, boys. I don't want to hurt you." And you can see him tossing them like little toys here. "Miss Marvel, you're right." He goes, "What? You?" "Yes." And he says, "What's going on around here? Who is the lieutenant? What did he?" And the power broker says, "Hey, you dog faces, no shooting up my property, you hear? Captain, back away from her at once. This area is under martial law." By the way, that's illegal. And this guy's like, "Put those guns away." And Miss Marvel says, "That man, the lieutenant, he's in league with the power broker." And he says, "That blamed fool, if the Avenger hasn't already figured out we're not here to take broker into custody, this clinches it." And he takes her and says, "Come on, ma'am, we've got to get somewhere quieter to talk." And he thinks here, D-Man is still inside. I've got to see to his safety as well. And he grabs the power broker and says, "Come along, Jackson. We may need you." So, and Captain America says, "We haven't much time, miss. Please tell me everything you can." And so, we're going to get a bit of a recap that I'm going to read because we didn't cover this. So, okay, I met Lieutenant Lynch the same day I went to the power broker to undergo augmentation. Michael, Lieutenant Lynch, helped me fight off some muggers who jumped me. I was in a bit of a daze, never even thought to ask him what he was doing blocks away from the brokers. So here we see that part. Later in that day, when the broker sent Muscle after me because I refused to finish his treatment, Michael showed up again, helped the Thing and me escape. So this happened in the Thing number 35. Though Michael begged me not to, I spent the next few months trying to track down the power broker's new base of operations. Too many of them to fight off. They beat me. Next thing I knew, I was in the lab downstairs. I have no idea how long I've been there. Feels like months. Oh, sorry. They should have read this part. When I got close, I set up a meeting with Michael to tell him about it. I was ambushed by 10 of the power broker's men. And then we go here. From what I overheard, the power broker's been involved in some secret project with the military. Lieutenant Lynch has been with him from the start, she says. Miss Marvel, you stay here and guard the broker and my friend. Let me attend to the U.S. Army. So you can see here we've got an augmented soldier coming by. And he says, "Okay, Lieutenant, it's time you and I had a talk." And the lieutenant says, "Good, he's coming out. Now I'll be able to watch your first field maneuver." So, G.I. Max neutralize Captain America. That is so cool. And he's like, "Yes, sir. Very G.I. Joe." This drawing, it's very simple, It's not, but I don't know. It's good stuff, man. So if you I think these are good comics. Even if they're not done by say Jim Lee or Todd McFarlane or any of these modern ones, I think they're pretty cool. So all right, so Captain America is like, "Gee, Max, who's he supposed to be? That military project Miss Marvel spoke of? Big fellow over 7 feet tall, dollars to donuts. He's augmented." And Cap blocks his thing here. And so we're just going to keep moving because they're just describing stuff that's going on. So here the soldier attacks him, and Captain America's kind of like, I don't want to hurt him. He's just a soldier following orders. And so Captain America kind of strikes him with the shield, but he's like, man, he didn't even move a muscle. So you can see here that he kind of uses his own momentum against him and just keeps hitting him with the shield, which is made out of vibranium and adamantium combined. So, all right, so you can see the soldier here is not giving up. So Captain America is just doing the best he can here, trying to take him down. And so it looks like it's starting to work here. And he's running toward the guy, and he jumps up, or kind of like uses all his strength with the shield and breaks down the gun, and then hits him here. And the guy's like, ugh, because Cap's just been relentless here. And this guy's like, I've got to help Max win. If the Avenger beats him, the Project Augment is going to lose a lot of credibility, and my career will be shot. So he takes out his gun. Hold him still a moment, Max. I'll equalize the odds for you. And so he begins to shoot, and ends up hitting Max when it ricochets off the shoulder. Lynch, you fool, look what you've done. And Lynch is like, oh, for cripe's sakes, I can't believe it. That does it now. I've got to kill Cap and hope none of these soldiers contradict my version of what happened. But he throws the shield at the lieutenant here. I love it. It looks like he's folded in half here. Very Kirby-like here. And Cap's like, Lord, it looks bad. Tore through his jugular. I got to stop the bleeding and hope he holds on till the ambulance we called gets there. So, no good. He's gone. Rest in peace, soldier. Lynch, get your tail over here, he yells. And so we've got our epilogue of kind of everything that happened here. So it just lets us know G.I. Max pronounced dead on arrival. Lieutenant Max Lynch reprimanded by his commanding officers for bungling a covert operation and has been reassigned to administrative work. Curtis Jackson, the power broker, taken into custody by the Los Angeles Police Department and has been released on $1 million bail pending trial. He remains in the augmentation business. And then we got D-Man here, which means Demolition Man, admitted to Los Angeles County Trauma Center and is listed in stable condition. He is contemplating whether to resume his wrestling career. And then the Folgers of Task Force 17. All volunteers for Project Augment have been notified that the project has been put in indefinite hold. And so Miss Marvel resisted capture by the army and held D-Man and the power broker until the paramedics and police arrived. She is currently traveling east with Captain America. The Shroud brought the failed augments to the power broker estate for treatment. As he vowed, the augments have caused $10 million in property damages so far. The Shroud remains at large. And finally, we got Captain America. Delivered the power broker to the authority and pressed charges against him. He is currently in transit to Washington, D.C. to make the matters of the Army's involvement with a known criminal to the Pentagon. He is unaware that the men in Washington who have been trying to contact him for the past 4 days, but that will soon change. So next, the end of Captain America as we know it. Captain America, number 331, Mark Gruenwald, Paul Neary, and Vince Colletta. Like and subscribe. I do thank you for listening. I really do hope you enjoyed this. This is good stuff. So, bye.